Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kathy Bisbee, the Executive Director of Brookline Interactive Group, your community media center and local cable channels, coming to you on our live stream and on our RCN and Comcast cable channels. We have members of our team helping to support this event, and we're very excited to co-host it with Welcome Blanket, the Brookline Public Libraries, the Brookline Bees, and guests, secret guests that will appear. So thank you all for coming, and I'm as excited as you are to make my own mask after several failed attempts with my sewing machine. I'm really excited to learn from all of these wonderful Brookliners and beyond. So I'll hand that off. There's Hadassah.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you so much to BIG for having us on this afternoon. My name is Hadassah Margolis, and I am a newly minted craftivist, which means that I use craft to help the world and to stay active in both political and social justice issues. It started off here in Brookline with Welcome Blanket Brookline, which is part of a national craftivism project that focuses on making blankets for immigrants and refugees here in the United States. And now with COVID-19, my craft skills have shifted from blankets to masks. And some of you are probably aware that in the past couple of weeks, Brookline has issued a statement that anyone who goes outside must cover their face with a mask. So what does that mean, and how do you do that? There are a lot of different ways to make masks, and luckily we have a panel of experts who will show us today how to make masks, a variety of different ways to make masks with very few materials. So before I introduce them, I want to make sure that everyone at home has an opportunity to gather your materials or to finalize your maker space. All you need for this tutorial today are a few items. One, a 100% cotton t-shirt. Doesn't matter what it looks like. There are panels holding up what they have found to use. And you also need a pair of scissors to cut the fabric. And you also need a piece of paper and a marker. If you are so inclined and you have these available, you can also keep some safety pins or a stapler or even a needle and thread nearby. And we'll show you how to use all of those in your masks. So as you gather those materials, I now want to say hi to our esteemed panel. I'm so excited to be working with everyone here. So first up is Will. And Will is a technology librarian at the Public Library of Brookline and a member of the Idea Space Committee. He is also a novice mask maker, so we are throwing him into the fire here, and we're going to see how he does with our tutorials. So thank you, Will, for being the guinea pig. We also have Christiana from the Public Library, and she is a technology librarian and the chair of the Idea Space Committee. She's also part of a group of Brookline librarians who are using the Idea Space's technology to help produce PPE for local healthcare organizations. And she's also been working with Will and BIG to offer weekly craft programs for all ages. So be sure to check out BIG's schedule to see when you can join in. All of the art projects are using household materials. So whatever you find in your house, you can make beautiful art with. Also joining us is Susan, who is the president of Proper Bostonian Quilters. And they have been hard at work making homemade masks. And I'm sure later on that she can share some of her hints and tips. And we also have Joyce, who is a superstar mask maker. And she teaches quilting at the Senior Center. She is part of Brookline Bees and is also a member of the Brookline Rotary. And before I pass it along to Joyce, I just want to share a little bit about what we've been doing in terms of masks. Because Brookline now requires everyone to wear a mask, we've created gotmasksbrookline.org, which is a hub for people to come and post requests on homemade masks. And it's also a way for mask makers to find requests and to help out people. And so we have both agencies and families, as well as individuals requesting masks. It's a way to streamline the system and for everyone to feel like they are doing their part in keeping everyone safe, and also following the recommendations of both Brookline as well as the CDC. And Joyce will now talk a little bit more about what types of masks people have been working on and what the typical community member here in Brookline could use, and go from there. And you have to unmute, Joyce.
Yes, thank you. And I'm not sure what everybody is seeing on the screen because I'm having a little technical difficulty. Is everyone seeing my masks? The picture of the mask that I did? No. So Hadassah, why don't you talk a little bit more about what Got Masks has been doing? I think I need to reconnect.
Sure. So Got Masks started a little over 2 weeks ago. We've had 215 total requests. So far, 114 of those have been fulfilled. We've had a total of 1,006 requests for individual adult masks. We have made 548 of them, as well as 212 requests for individual child masks, of which 114 have been delivered. And we have so far probably about 40 different mask makers who have joined in the cause and have been working hard on masks. And every day we seem to get new requests as well as new people involved. Just recently, we received 2 really big asks, one from Center Communities, which is a senior housing here in Brookline, as well as from the Brookline Housing Authority. And both of those places need masks in the hundreds. So if you are inspired by today's tutorial, and if you feel like it is easy for you to make these masks, which I hope it is, I hope that you go to gotmasksbrookline.org and maybe sign up and say, hey, you know what, I can make some t-shirt masks for my neighbors. Let me offer. And the cool thing about masks is that you don't have to make 100 in order to make a difference. All you need is to make 1 mask, or ideally 2 masks, so you can have one that you wear and one in the wash. If you do that, you're helping someone stay safer, and you're helping our entire community stay healthier. So I hope that you will enjoy this tutorial, and you'll be able to see that it's not so hard to make a mask, and that it's not so hard to help out. So Joyce, I now am seeing your beautiful masks. Would you like to try again?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. So thank you. This is a picture of some of the masks that it does take a sewing machine to make. The quilters in the group have been enlisted for quite a long time, since the middle of March, making masks for people. But now that everybody has to wear a mask, the demand has gone through the roof. And so we're hoping to help you be able to make one for yourself. So these are the ordinary ones that we've been making. They're 2 layers of cloth with elastic or shoelaces or whatever stretches that we can put on the ends. And this is the kind that we've been making for the first responders and the people who need a little bit more protection. In addition to the 2 layers of cotton, there's 2 layers of interfacing here. And the reason is that these people are not able to stay 6 feet away from everybody. Picture a policeman who has to pick someone up off the street or whatever. They have to touch people and they don't know if this person is infected. So we do need to have greater protection for the people who are not able to do social distancing in protecting us. And therefore, we're trying to save these supplies for those people who are at greater risk. And that's why we're not showing that level of mask to you. So why is this effort for making homemade masks? First of all, as you've seen in the press, N95 masks and surgical masks are in short supply. So we need to try to keep those for the people who are at the greatest risk, for the first responders and the medical staff. The second one is to keep your germs to yourself. And that may sound a little bit rude, but with this disease, you can be passing out virus for 2 weeks before you have symptoms. So it's during that time that you feel you're healthy and you're going about your business, but you could in fact be affecting other people. So we want to keep our own germs to ourselves. In fact, in Asia, you know, you've probably seen a lot of Chinese and Japanese people wearing masks. And in Asia, they call them courtesy masks, that they're being courteous to the other people around them by not spreading their germs to them. And we also want, of course, to reduce our own exposure to other people's germs. It's not going to do the whole job, but this plus social distancing will do a good job of protecting you. The other major thing to remember is not to touch your face. And if you're wearing a mask, the mask itself is going to help you remember, oh dear, I touched my face. I forgot. I didn't even realize I was doing that. So help it remind you not to touch your face, because carrying germs from your hands to your face is the most dangerous part that we need to be mindful of. So a mask plus staying 6 feet away from people and washing your hands frequently is a very good combination to protect you. We hear a lot on the internet. There are hundreds of videos on how to make a mask. You can find all manner of suggestions. And there's a lot of discussion about filters. So people always ask us what filter should we use. The best filter for most people is a tighter weave of fabric, which is one of the reasons that we say, look at your t-shirt, and maybe it's one of the heavier ones. If you hold it up to the light, you can see some sunlight through it. So just hold it up to the light and then put 2 layers and hold it up to the light. And you'll see that you see a lot less sun through 2 layers. If it's a particularly thin, older t-shirt, you might want to even have 3 layers, but I'll leave that up to you for another time. You also want to make sure it's breathable. So if you hold it up to your face and try to breathe through it, you should be able to breathe with restriction. We're going to make something that fits around your face so that germs are not coming in from around the edges of the mask. That's another risk factor. So that's more important actually than putting an extra filtering layer in there. People wonder about paper towels, coffee filters, even vacuum cleaner bags. And the problem is that none of those have been tested for humans to breathe through them. So there may be little particles like little bits of glass or some chemical to make it smell good that's not intended for humans to breathe into their lungs. So my preference is not to use any of those filters. So the goals of what we're trying to do here and what we're going to share with you today is to create something that's washable, that's reusable, that you don't have to throw it away after one wearing, but you should wash it. It's going to help you keep your own germs to yourself, remind you not to touch your face. Be sure to keep your hands clean, both before you put the mask on and after you take the mask off. And avoid transferring germs from your hands to your face, because your hands are going to touch things. That's the way we are. We're engineered that way. We're going to touch something. And what did you touch? Do you really want to take that to your mouth, to your nose, to your eyes? Those mucous membranes are the doors to our bodies, and we don't want those germs inside. And even after you wear a mask, be sure to take it off carefully, wash the mask, and wash your hands. Are there any questions at this point? Anybody want to ask any questions? Do we have any questions from the audience too?
No questions from the audience so far.
Great.
Could you just mention the importance of the 100% all cotton?
Sure. Actually, I have a slide in the other set about that, so I'll come back to that. Thank you. I brought you a couple of pictures of homemade masks that people have created. Here's your classic bandana mask. And people have gotten all sorts of creative with different things that you might add to them to make it yours so that you feel good walking around in the outside with this thing over your face. So feel free to get creative. Here's a gentleman who got very creative with one of his wife's brassieres. And in fact, there's a movie star comedian who made a video of how to create a mask out of a bra. And not to be outdone, there's actually a TikTok video on how to make one out of a jockstrap. Wonderful. So, but we're not going to get that creative today. Here are a few other ideas. This is actually from a place in the world where there was a volcanic eruption, so they had to protect themselves from the ash of the volcano. And they got very creative with bras, diapers, and underwear. What we're going to do here, though, today is really talk about something practical that you can make at home and that you can make without a sewing machine or special equipment and without having to scrounge around for supplies you don't have in the house. So according to the CDC, the cloth face coverings that we need should fit snugly but comfortably against the side of the face, should be secured with ties or ear loops that'll keep it hugging your face, should have multiple layers of fabric, should allow for breathing without restriction, and be able to be laundered either by hand or by machine without damaging it or changing its shape. So what we'll show you today, you can wash by hand in the sink and dry it overnight in the bathroom, and you'll be all set to go for the next day. I should mention too, the people who should not wear masks, anybody under 2 should not be wearing a mask, and basically anybody who is not able to take it off by themselves should not wear a mask. So anybody who's unconscious or in a bed with those restrictions should not be wearing a mask. Any other comments or questions about that at this point? Great. So let me just check. I think, oops, what did I do? Oh.
And I think one other population that should not wear masks is anyone who has breathing issues or difficulty breathing should not be wearing a mask.
Great.
I did read somewhere that if you do have young children who are out under the age of 2, that one thing you can do is you can, if they're in a stroller, is you can use the rain protection plastic over the stroller to kind of keep them in their own environment and not breathing out. So that was one tip that I heard.
Great. And for some reason, I'm having this technical problem again, and I can't quite figure it out.
So maybe we can shift to Susan. I'm curious to hear what the proper, is it the proper Bostonian quilters? Yeah, what have you been up to in terms of mask making?
Well, we're basically making the mask that Joyce showed in the first slide. We're making it for some medical facilities, a pediatric clinic, a rehab hospital, those kinds of places. And I think they use them over a medical mask to keep that mask clean longer. And also in a pediatric setting, you know, it's not as intimidating as a medical mask might be for small kids. We have given masks to Rosie's Place, which is now a food distribution center, and they give a mask to everybody who picks up food when they pick up food. So they have a large demand.
And you've given masks to Braintree Rehab, I know, and
We have,
altogether more than 1,000 masks
Yeah.
that our group has
Medical
done.
and Tufts Medical Center and Newton Wellesley Hospital also were using masks. And again, I think they were using them mostly as covers for the medical masks, just to give them a little bit longer life.
Great. So has everybody got their supplies assembled at this point? T-shirt, scissors, marker, and a piece of paper. And what I want you to do first is to take a piece of paper and just cut a 1-inch strip off the long side of that paper. So, let me show there. We mentioned 100% cotton. Why do we care about cotton? Because a lot of t-shirts are made with polyesters, but polyester traps the heat and the moisture. And you're going to be wearing this mask for the time that you go to the grocery store, which could be an hour or two. So you want to be sure that you're comfortable in it and you're not going to be fussing with the mask and adjusting it. So something that you can breathe through most comfortably is what we want here. And 100% cotton will do that for you. It's also very washable. So take that 1-inch strip of paper, and we're going to use it to make our critical measures here. So let me just take a minute and do this with you. We're going to take this strip of paper and we're going to measure across your nose. And don't forget that the edges of paper are sharp, so watch it around your eyes. We're going to go from ear across your nose to the other ear. And a 1/11-inch strip of paper is about the size of a women's medium. So if it needs to be longer, you might want to either estimate how much longer, or you could take a second strip and attach it so that it's longer. But measure that distance, and then you can even tear off the end so that it's exactly that. And our second measure is from the top of the bridge of your nose to just under your chin with your mouth open. And for people with a beard like Will, you'll want it to cover your beard, because, you know, ending it anywhere before that, it's going to be awkward for fitting.
Joyce, do I want, when I'm measuring from ear to ear, is that like the inside edge of my ear, or is that the outside edge of my ear?
The inside edge of your ear.
Cool.
So the edge closest to your nose. Sorry, one more second here. Have I got it? Yes. Okay. So we've got this piece of paper. We've got it marked from ear to ear. And we also have it marked from the top of your nose to your chin. And be sure to mark which end you measured from so that you know it's this part, not this part. That's your critical measure. And now we're going to lay that out on top of our t-shirt and mark it. And you can see I've marked it a little bit beyond the ends of it. And that's to make it a little more generous, because, you know, once you cut this, you can always make it smaller, but once it's cut, you can't really make it larger. So I like to go a little bit generous, and then you can always go back and trim it back a little bit more if you want. But the first mark is the width of the mask from ear to ear. And I think we can see Christy doing that on her cat face. I love your cat face.
And Joyce, where exactly should we be placing this piece of paper on the t-shirt? Is it just across the chest? Is it
on the chest? And we are actually going to use some of the sleeve. So you can see I've got it above the sleeve. It's not terribly critical, and you can see I just made tiny little marks there just so I know more or less where it is. Once we get the vertical in, then we can center the mask better.
Thank you.
So the next measure now is from the top to the bottom, from the top of your nose to under your chin. And you can see I've started right below the neckband here. And again, made it a little bit bigger than my measure. And now you can see we're going to mark in our next step, we're going to mark the width of it, and we're going to go out into the sleeve. So I do want to make sure that both of those marks are actually going to catch the sleeve. And that sort of answers your question earlier, Hadassah, because now you can see that's not, this edge mark, this is not the center. The center is going to be up about there. Okay.
Does it have to be centered, Joyce? Can it be if you have an image on the t-shirt that you want to take that's a little off-centered? Does it have to be centered?
No, you can do whatever you want to with it.
Okay.
We do want to make sure that our ties are going to be long enough. So you'll see in a minute where we're going to put those. But yes, by all means, center the design if you want to keep the design.
Okay, thank you.
I just realized something very critical. I have a black t-shirt and a black marker, and that's not going to really help me here.
Right, and so you might want to put one of those safety pins or staples in as your marker right now. So the next step is from those top and bottom marks, we're going to go horizontally all the way to the end of the shirt. And again, if it winds up being too long, we can always make it shorter later. But for now, we're just going to mark it all the way to the end of the shirt. And you'll do that on both sides of the shirt. Let's see what Christy's doing.
I'm trying to line up the cat's nose with my nose, so I might regret that later, but we'll see. I'm hopeful that these will still be long enough straps because I really like cat face mask.
That's great.
Christy, I also hope you're able to use the cat eyes in some other mask. That would be awesome.
Isn't that amazing? I raided my husband's closet, so I also have a Yoshi t-shirt that I'm very excited about as well.
Christina, can you describe what you're doing as you're doing it, just for folks who might be just joining us or confused?
Absolutely. So I have marked out the height of my mask based on my face measurement, and then my marks are here for the width, and then I'm extending that line all the way to the edges of my t-shirt.
So the ear to ear measurement is the top and the bottom line, is that correct?
No, here's
this is the bridge of the nose, just like it is on the cat.
Gotcha.
Because I'm trying to line it up with my with my own face. So from the bridge of my nose to my chin, to under my chin, is this measurement here. And then I marked out the width from the ear to ear. And then this additional piece of fabric is going to be my ties.
Right, and you can see that for most people, what I'm recommending is that you do it up high enough on the shirt that you can go out onto the sleeve, so that the sleeve is going to provide us with those ties. And to do something else, but she knows how to sew, so she's going to make hers great, I'm sure. But for most of us, let's start at the top and go all the way out into the
Too close to the sun.
So go all the way to the arms. Okay.
All the way to the end of the sleeve. Then the next thing we're going to do is to, using this mark at the end of the ear to ear measurement, using that as our guide, we're going to draw a little niche like this. This is going to make our 2 ties and the cutout for the side of the mask. And we'll do that on both sides.
It's 3:30.
It's 3:30, you guys.
Time for a question.
Yeah.
What happens, Joyce, when you cut into the fabric into a cotton t-shirt? Like how wide should the straps be? Will the straps start unraveling at some point, or is there anything we need to do to take care of them?
The strap should be about 1.5 inches wide, which is, I think, sort of what Christy has going here. It- Anything more narrow than that will maybe have a little unraveling, but t-shirt fabric is pretty good about not unraveling too much at the ends. Okay, has everybody got it marked out? Then get out your scissors, and now it's time to cut.
Christy, when you drew the side, or Joyce, when you draw the side square, are you measuring that or just eyeing it?
Well, you measured it originally. These are the marks that I made that was ear to ear measurement.
Yep, I meant the
And the
cutout.
rest- And the rest of it is freehand,
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Thank you.
just freehanded.
Okay.
Nothing critical. But that's going to be the sides of your mask from ear to ear like that.
Some of us get really concerned about freehanding things.
Well, and you can see I made sort of dotted lines because the felt marker was dragging on my t-shirt and moving it. So it was easier for me to make a dotted line. So whatever works for you is good.
Got it. Thank you.
And we can see Christy cutting out her cat.
And Joyce, what if we don't have t-shirts that we either can use for this project, or the t-shirts we have aren't the right material, or they aren't opaque enough? Are there other household items that we can use to make these masks?
If you have an old sheet or a pillowcase that you're willing to sacrifice, that would do just great. The other thing I noticed that I have that's double knit is I have an old skirt that I was ready to sacrifice if I couldn't find a t-shirt. But I found my 2008 Jimmy Fund Walk t-shirt and decided it could do the job. Looking good, Christy. You'll notice you need scissors that know how to cut through fabric, and not all scissors do. So hopefully you're not struggling too much with this task. Once you have it all cut out, then we're going to need to fasten the top seam. And there are a number of suggestions on the internet. One is to use safety pins. We have some safety pins. There was one pattern that said use 3 safety pins, but that would have put one right on the bridge of my nose, and I decided that was too uncomfortable. So I put 4. Or if you don't want to use safety pins, or if you don't have any, you could staple this. Or best of all, if you have a needle and thread and don't mind just doing a very simple straight running stitch across the top, we just need to fasten these 2 pieces of fabric together in some way. Safety pins or staples or a line of sewing. Any of that is good.
And Joyce, if I want my cat face on the outside, should I flip this inside out first, or are we gonna flip it?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna do
Yes,
that.
I'm going to turn mine inside out so you will not see the Jimmy Fund Walk. And in Christy's case, because she does one cat on the outside, she's going to flip it first so the raw edges together, and then turn it like this so that her cat face will be on the outside. Oh, look at Kathy's. Neat.
I'm amazed that I was able to actually cut something in a straight line. That's like the first victory of the day.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And when you turn it, if it's not smooth, just run your hand underneath it so that you get that edge nice and smooth, because this is what's going to be right across your nose and under your eyes. So you want that edge to be as smooth as possible. And then I did what quilters call finger pressing, you just run your hand across the top of it and smooth it, and that will press a t-shirt quite nicely.
And I'm doing the stapler version over here.
Good.
So you're basically just stapling along where you normally would sew a seam?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a way around breaking that sewing machine out.
Or in my case, actually breaking the sewing machine.
Christiana, your cat face is on the inside. And then
Yes, so so this outside edge doesn't have any design because I flipped it inside out. I did all my doodling on the right side, but then I flipped it inside out so that when I fold it, I'm not gonna have staples right up against my face because that is not pleasant.
That would be rather unpleasant, so yes. And then just smooth out that seam and finger press it a little bit so we can watch you do that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Terrific. So we're ready to try on our masks.
Yeah.
So I'll show you mine. And then you can see that the first thing you do is you tie it in the back. Take the top ties and tie them together in the back of your head, and then take the bottom ones and bring them up and to the top of your head. And that's where you'll surround your beard nicely, Will. Yay, there's the cat face. Oh, I love it. I love Susan's red one, and there's Hadassah's with a little heart on it. Yes, you can draw with a crayon on a t-shirt material too. It's pretty hard to do with your headset on. But we've got the idea. And there's Will's. I love it. Looking great.
We have a question on YouTube about what about using glue? Is that something that could be used to keep the seams together?
Potentially, and I've seen that suggested on the internet. I'm a little unenthused about using glue around your nose because sniffing glue is also not a wonderful thing to do, but yes, potentially you could do that.
I'm also wondering about how glue will hold up with washes.
Yeah, you're right.
Is it a specific, would it be fabric glue? Because I think, typical Elmer's glue wouldn't hold up.
You're right, because Elmer's glue will wash out, and anything tougher is probably not wonderful to be inhaled. So I would avoid glue. I think staples would be preferred over glue.
You might be able to get away with a hot glue just because it would kind of meld as long as you're not washing on really hot heat. I would think you would probably get a decent seal, but you just don't want to burn your fingertips doing it that way.
Right, right.
I saw something about fabric binding material that you heat up. What is that called exactly? And does that work for actually sewing things that can be washed?
There are things called hem tape that you can put in, and using an iron, you can make a seal. Again, on t-shirt material, because t-shirt material stretches a little bit, and it's probably going to rip it away. Susan, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree that that's not, and you know, you've got to fit, you don't want whatever it is to be too stiff. I mean, the hot glue is likely to be stiff once it hardens again. I don't know about the hem tape. You know, any glue that I've used with sewing has been water soluble, so I wouldn't. I think you just have to, you know, come up with a needle and thread or something.
Yeah, needle and thread would be optimal. And if I can go back to it, I mean, you can, whoops, I'm going in the wrong direction. Here we go. So this is the running stitch I did. Now, anybody should be able to do a running stitch. And even if you have a hotel kind of a mending kit, you know, the hotel ones will have a needle and that much thread. It's not real big. So if you can conjure that up, that would be the optimal solution. But I think the staples and the safety pins are reasonable alternatives, and I'm not wild about glue.
Awesome, thank you.
You could even leave it unattached here, but you can tell having that ragged edge against your eyes is going to be a little difficult. So that's why we're trying to make it as smooth an edge as we can.
Yeah. If you live in an apartment building, somebody in the building has a needle, you know.
Right.
So
there's still a lot of shirt left over. And I was thinking there are other things that we could do. The tying thing is also not wonderful. Not everybody's going to love to have ties around their heads. So here's another pattern that I thought we could try. And this might be something you could do with the other portions of your cat's anatomy here. But using those same measures, ear to ear and nose to chin, I've laid out on a piece of leftover fabric what's going to become another pattern. So what you do first is just mark those places, nose to chin and ear to ear. And then this is a pattern from Jennifer Crafts, and we've got the links for you at the end of the pattern, but you can see it's a big oval basically with little holes here for your ears. So it has sort of built-in ear loops. It doesn't require the same width. So if you're dealing with a smaller shirt or a different part of the shirt that doesn't have the sleeves, you can manage this in that space. So the way I measured from my ear mark to the end of my oval was actually to use my hand. A lot of built-in hand measurements. Knitters know this. If you're stuck without a ruler and you're supposed to knit until if it's 7 inches long or something, it's handy if you know what part of your anatomy is 7 inches. So for example, my hand span is exactly 7.5 inches. 1 digit of my index finger is 1 inch. Things like that you can measure on yourself. But for this purpose, what I did was I took the width of my hand. So you can see my hand's about 3.5 inches wide. So from my ear to ear mark out to the edge of the oval is 1 hand width. And then you just sort of freehand that oval, make it go a little higher around your nose, a little more broadly around your chin, and just freehand it and cut it out.
Joyce, we have a question on YouTube as
Sure.
well. Roberta wants to know if we have any thoughts on adding a nylon layer under the mask to boost protection.
But what you should do at first and make breathe comfortably through it, not just for 3 seconds, but more like for 3 minutes, because certain weaves of nylon and polyester trap the heat and the moisture. So as you wear it more, you're going to start to feel smothered, that there's moisture trapped, maybe making your glasses fog up. So try it and just see how it works for you.
I also saw that some people are putting nylon over the mask as an extra layer. So you have your cotton fabric mask, and then you have over that, you have some stocking tying around. They said that it would keep out even more. So
No, if
not
it's
sure.
a lot of filtration because it's a very open. That's what makes it look translucent. Is it is very open, and this virus is very small particle. It's like 1 micron, which is extraordinarily small. You can't possibly see it, so it'll go right through stocking material. I don't think as a filter it's handy, but what it does add is it's a stretchy material that you can use as a tie. And you'll see there's later on in the slides, I'm using a little stocking as a tie. So once you have your oval cut out, then the next thing we're going to do is fold it in half lengthwise and cut out our little ear pieces. And Jennifer recommends cutting a little heart shape like this. It could be a triangle, it could be an oval, I'll let you decide. But I found that this heart shape actually gave it a little hook behind the ear, which was kind of handy.
And Joyce, where are the ear marks from our paper ruler?
Here's my ear to ear measurement.
Okay.
At the base of what now is of this little heart shape cutout. Cute. And it's just like making paper valentines like we did in elementary school.
I just saw.
Mom, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, speaking of giving gifts, I just saw an ad for, hey, it's Mother's Day coming up. Give her a designer mask to celebrate.
Make her a designer mask.
Yes, make one.
My mom used to get she would go to the wallpaper store, I guess to the hardware store, and they had all these sample wallpaper books. Do you guys remember those?
Yes.
They had these big sample wallpaper books, and so she would get them. She'd get them to give them to us, and we would cut out all of our Valentines from those wallpaper samples.
Oh, fun.
Such a
That
fun
was
thing.
very clever. Super. So Christy has her mask all done. And now we're again going to attach the top with safety pins or staples or a running stitch as you wish. And turn it inside out. So Christy, you'll want to turn yours first. Yeah. And again, this is something you can decorate with crayons or markers. If you do use crayon, you can make it permanent by pressing it, but just before you hit your iron with it, turn it upside down on top of a piece of scrap paper and then press the back side, because you don't want the crayon to melt onto your iron, and you don't want it to melt onto your ironing board either. So the paper will catch the leftover crayon, but it makes it almost semi-permanent. It'll survive the wash. So then we can watch Christy turning hers, and we're going to turn it inside out and finger press it.
And another amateur tip, if you're using Sharpie, it's going to smell really bad when you put it on, which is why I didn't have my mask on for too long, because the smell of the Sharpie, I don't know if it'll wear off with a wash or two, but just be forewarned.
Yeah, it'll dissipate, but while it's wet, yes, it smells pretty bad.
Joyce, I have a strange question.
Sure.
In my grandmother's sewing kit that I inherited, there's this little piece of kind of chalking material. Does that have a name?
Yeah, it's called Taylor's chalk. And
Taylor's
they use it
chalk.
for marking. So this is perfect for your black t-shirt.
I found it in my little sewing kit.
Yeah, so it's actually chalk, just like they used to use on the blackboard.
Yeah.
And it will mark the darker fabrics.
Yeah, it works
It also
great.
comes in colors too, by the way. Oh, good.
wow.
Susan's got her mask on already. So what you do is you just twist the ends over your ear, and that gives it a little bit more shape.
Mine isn't terribly tight. I may have cut it out a little far,
Okay.
or made my hearts too big.
Oh, look at Chrissy.
This one's a little more Kafka-esque than the first one.
I love it. That's great. Super. Good job, guys. So I was working with an extra large t-shirt, and so I actually still had some fabric left, and I was going, okay, what can we do with this? And in the CDC patterns that we're recommending, there's also a suggestion for a bandana mask that we can fold. And so this is the one from the CDC, plus some recommendations from a Japanese blogger that I thought were pretty neat. So a bandana is usually 18 to 20 inches square. What I have left over here is about 10 by 20. So I made 2 layers, 10 by 20 for my t-shirt, or you could use a bandana or a scarf or something like that that you have around. Good. So this is 2 pieces of t-shirt material, 10 inches by 20 inches. Then for ear loops, we're going to use that stocking that we talked about before. What I did was I just cut, you can see about 1.5 inch slices of an old stocking. And it's nice because it's stretchy and it's comfortable around your ears. Some of these other things are not so comfortable. Rubber bands would probably get to you after a while. Large hair ties are another suggestion, not the little ones, but the bigger ones, to use as ear loops for this mask. So the first thing we're going to do is take our 10 by 20 inch square and fold it to the middle. And if this feels a little like origami, it is a little like origami. It was a suggestion from the Japanese one, but I liked the way this one came out better than the CDC directions. So you've got both to choose from. So we're going to fold it to the middle, and then we're going to flip that over and do it again. So we'll watch Chrissy. She's folding it to the middle.
And then do I just fold it again inwards or do I flip it upside down?
Flip the whole piece upside down. Yep, and now fold it again to the middle, right. You got it. Great. And then we put those ear loops on, and the ear loops should be 6 or 8 inches apart, depending on the size of your face.
And I just have rubber bands, so I don't know how comfy this one will be, but
It's fine. It'll do for the demo, and then we can decide later which one you like the best.
And Joyce, can I make little loops out of my t-shirt if I don't
Yeah.
have any of the other?
Yes, I wouldn't make them too narrow. Make sure you've got at least 1 inch because it will fray a little bit, but
Yeah,
it should survive, and then just tie it. Yeah,
okay.
that's right.
Joyce, can you take off your share screen? Because we can't see Christy's screen when you're
Oh, sorry.
presenting.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, there. There you go.
Thank you.
you need me to refold it again or do you think it's okay?
Are we okay? And you've been seeing the whole. All right. I think we're okay. So we've got it, we folded it, we turned it, and now we're going to turn it over one more time. And now put it on so that you've got the raw edges toward your face and the smooth edges to the outside, like that. Yes. Okay. And there's Hadassah putting hers on. So once you've got it on, then you'll adjust the folds in the front. So the ear loops were not a wonderful success. Or actually, it looks, Hadassah, it looks like you should put the ear loops a little closer together. Make them about a little more than a hand width apart.
But yeah, that's what I was wondering. Why it was much too big.
What should I do with kind of this excess? Do I leave this out or?
Fold it in, just fold it in. So once you get those ear loops on and 6 or 8 inches apart, then you just fold the ends in, and the nicely folded edges should be to the outside and the raw edges to the inside. And we got some demo going. There's Will's, and there's Hadassah's. Good. There you go. And then just pull it apart a little bit on the outside so that it goes a little higher and a little lower. Yeah, good. I like it. Did great, Will, thanks. Okay.
Will, that looks so good.
I did it. Yay.
Yay! And it matches your
Great.
shirt.
That was my plan. Yeah.
Pandemic couture.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So again, that's great. So we have 3 different kinds of masks. You can choose which one works best for you with your materials and with the shape of your face. But a couple of things I wanted to just review. Be sure to wash your hands before you put it on, because you want to keep the mask clean. Don't touch your face while you're wearing it. If you find yourself touching your face while you're wearing it, you may need to modify the design because you want to keep it comfortable so that you don't feel the need of messing with it while you're wearing it. Remove it carefully. Consider it contaminated. You need to take it off, wash it, and then wash your hands after you handle it. You can dry it in the drying machine, but you could also just sort of hang it over a towel bar and let it do in the bathroom overnight. Do not put it in the microwave if there's any metal in it. Staples, pins, it'll catch on fire. So you really don't want to do that. And if your glasses fog up, you could add a twist tie or a folded strip of aluminum foil over the nose, and we'll provide you with a link for how to do that if you need to do it. Ooh, Kathy, I like your mask. Okay. So
Can
thank
we were asked if people could share their masks. We could just go around and people could, especially the kitten mask.
Yes.
And the other thing that I did that I liked it, like when I was in high school and they like, you like cut up your t-shirts to make them cool, is if you stretch out the t-shirt. So it makes kind of a natural, more of a cord, which I find a little easier to tie too, and it doesn't fray as much. It's hilarious.
Wonderful.
The fold on that mask with the kitten, it like accentuates where the lines of the jaw would be. It works really well.
It does. It's great. Oh, Kathy, I like yours. It's very stylish.
Ooh, that is nice.
Thank you.
Mine's a little the musical Cats, but I'm just gonna lean into it.
Beautiful.
Now,
I liked how this one fits a lot.
Yeah.
This one fits really nicely. I think better than even some of the sewn ones I've used.
Yeah.
I
think so
used a
too.
medium mask and the tie's short. So
Uh-huh.
if you have a big head, use a bigger t-shirt.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, it ties, but
Yeah.
I can't do a bow.
Right. Yeah, I know the first one I made, somebody had said leave 12 inches for the ties, and that was not enough for me. So that's why I always start bigger. You can always make them shorter,
Yeah.
but it's not so easy to make them longer.
Yeah.
Great.
Would it make a difference to use a long sleeve t-shirt?
No,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
you definitely use a long sleeve t-shirt. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Just,
And it would give you more length.
yeah.
As long as you know, you'd have to be careful how you lay it out, but you could get more length with a long sleeve.
Right.
Joyce, I added a fold in the middle of mine
Okay.
here because I felt like it didn't fit quite right. And so I've noticed a lot of masks have like two panels with like a sewed up the center.
Yes,
Is that just to try to get it to shape your face better?
exactly.
Okay.
Just so it hugs your face. So there's no set rules about this. As I say, there's probably at least 100 videos on the internet of how to do these. So by all means, get creative. Do it your way and make it fit your face.
My way is to just cut things and see what happens.
That's very good. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've yet to meet two people who are making masks in the exact same way. And Kathy, what you said about the two panels, that's what I've been using for my masks. So you can see the seam. And what I like about this is because I have a very small face, so I didn't want anything to gap.
Right.
So I'm actually using a child size pattern here, and it really hugs the face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I like these fabric ties better than elastic because I can really tie it tight and it won't budge.
That's
Right.
great.
Yeah, I've still yet to figure out how not to get like my sunglasses to fog up. I haven't tried any of the tips yet that Joyce that you recommended. I also heard that maybe using some first aid or surgical tape right over here And that will
I-
prevent the fog from coming? Because I don't have an insert for like a pipe cleaner or anything like that to clip on the nose.
Right. Well, with these masks where we've just folded the top and we don't have it closed up like you did with your sewn mask, it's easy to just open it up and insert. You can try a twist tie, like, you know, like they do for bread.
Oh,
Or
good idea.
The other one is to take a small piece of aluminum foil and just fold it, so that you have something that's about the shape of a twist tie, and use that in that seam. Okay, thanks everybody. I think everybody did a great job.
So I am curious to hear, Will, as the quote novice mask maker, which did you like the best, or
Yeah.
which was the easiest?
Yeah, I was pretty dubious of my ability to do this, but I think every single one like worked pretty well. What I think worked best, honestly, was so I have a pretty big head, I think, and I think I didn't make the straps long enough on the first and the second one, or I'm sorry, I didn't make the first or the second one long enough. But the thing with the rubber bands like really helped the flexibility of the band, especially. And two, additionally, like I don't have a stapler, or I don't have a needle and thread or anything like that. So the final one that we did, it just seemed to like hold together a lot easier too. Yeah.
The folded one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Super.
And we have a comment on YouTube. Somebody's forward-thinking one says we're experimenting with cutting beer cans and covering piece with duct tape.
Well, that's not going to be real comfortable, and it's not going to be too easy to breathe through. So not recommended. But it gets an A for creativity, right?
I've seen people like grocery store workers with duct taped plastic shields around their faces. And my husband bought a motorcycle helmet to wear,
Yes.
just in
Well,
case.
And that's good for protecting yourself from what they call droplets in the medical world. You know, when somebody sneezes, there are in fact little droplets that get ejected, and you want to keep yourself from catching those. So that's what those vinyl masks are for. Do you see the dentist wearing, or different medical personnel?
Yep. This has been really wonderful. I just want to thank you guys for showing up and making this happen, and for having the ideas. So Hadassah and Joyce and Christina and Will and Anne, thank you for all your support in making this happen. And Susan, thanks for showing up. It's wonderful to have you as well. And is there anything else anybody wants to add, and final thoughts?
I would just say be safe, everybody, and take care of each other. So not only your own family, but especially if there's anybody who's a shut-in, who's near you, reach out and take care and be well.
And I would add that one way, if you would like to help out, now that you know how to make these masks, this is a wonderful way to connect with your neighbors and help out. And so if you're interested in not only making masks for you and your loved ones, but also for your neighbors, feel free to go to gotmasksbrookline.org. You can see the requests. You can email us on our About page if you have any questions, and there are other ways to volunteer as well. We have pages for people offering fabric or offering elastic. If you have a bunch of old t-shirts that you are going to donate or throw out or use as rags, you can post them on our site and someone will scoop them up. If you want to learn how to make a mask with a sewing machine or with a needle and thread, we have people who are able to teach you. I also realize that I'm a lot better at cutting fabric than I am at sewing. So I have two people with whom I'm making little kits, and I send them off and then they sew them. And it's been real faster way to make masks. So there are a variety of different ways that you can help out with the mask, but the number one way you can help out is to make your own mask and to wear it when you go out. I'm really grateful that there are these easy ways to make masks, and I'm grateful for all of you for being a part of this as well.
Hadassah and Joyce, are you offering, so the lessons, Joyce, that you teach at the Senior Center, are you going to be giving us that content for the cable channels so that we can share it out with anybody who might be interested right now that will be coming?
Sure, glad to do that. I've been teaching the quilting class at the Brookline Senior Center for over a year, and since the middle of March, we've gone online and we're doing Zoom sessions instead, and we are sharing those with the Brookline Interactive Group, and thank you very much for making those available widely.
Absolutely, thanks for doing it, and I'll be joining you because I still need to learn how to make darts. And many other things.
Great. Super.
Anybody else?
Oh, and the library also has a video up on, not that there is any lack of how-to videos on how to sew a mask, but we do have ours up on our Facebook page too, and we're happy to send that over to Big as well, from a few weeks ago, of a mask that's kind of similar to the one that Hadassah had done, with the sort of shaped layers. It's like a little more advanced. I learned how to do my first ever top stitch a couple weeks ago. It's not too bad.
Ooh, I don't even know what that is, so I'm gonna go take that. Watch your Zoom.
Right.
And Will, do you want to say anything else about any of the other programs that you guys are streaming live on Big, so people can know about them?
Yeah, you can join us every single Friday, either at Big's social media channels, at Channel 3, or on the library's Facebook page every Friday at 11. We have a 10:30. Sorry, so many times. What is time now? We have a gentle yoga program that is seated chair yoga. It's really great. It's great for like people of all ages. Keith heads that. It's really good at that. We also have story times that are broadcast live Mondays and Thursdays, 10:30 to 11. They're great again for all ages, especially great for kids ages 0 to 5. And coming up, we'll have even more children's programs that will be live streaming. Yeah, you can check all this stuff out at brklib.com.
And the craft along on Thursdays at 4 p.m.
Oh, yes, that's right. How could I forget?
One that you're on, Will.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, just go ahead and share the end credits then, unless anybody else has anything to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brookline Interactive Group, for having us from the library, and thanks to everyone who organized this. This is really great.